The council chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 47 different species. Ambassador Sora sat in the human section, her hands folded on the table in front of her. She had been doing this job for 12 years now, and she knew how these meetings went. Counselor Vrex stood at the center podium. He was Varathi, which meant he looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and eyes that never blinked. His voice came through the translators with a sharp, clicking quality. "The junior species have too much military freedom," Vrex said. "They build weapons they cannot control. They expand without wisdom. We propose new limits on their fleet sizes and weapons research." Everyone knew he was talking about humanity. The humans were one of the youngest species in the council, only 400 years since first contact. Many of the older species still treated them like children. Sora pressed her button to speak. The light above her section turned green. "We object to this proposal," she said calmly. "Humanity has never broken any treaty. We have never attacked another council member. We keep our fleet small and defensive. What evidence supports these new restrictions?" Vrex's mandibles clicked together. "You are young. You do not understand the dangers. We have seen species like yours before. Trust must be earned over millennia, not centuries." Other counselors nodded. Some looked bored. This was an old argument. The vote came quickly. 38 species voted yes, 7 voted no. The humans and a few of their trading partners. The restriction passed. Sora stood and bowed slightly, as was human custom. "We respect the council's decision," she said. Then she walked out of the chamber, her steps steady and measured. That night, Captain Jihoon sat in the command chair of the Horizon's Promise, humanity's diplomatic vessel. It was docked at Nexus Station, the huge diplomatic hub where all species met. His second officer, Nari, was running system checks. "Captain," Nari said, "we're receiving a coded transmission from Earth. Put it through." The message was simple. Just 3 words and a timestamp. "Initiate protocol exodus. Now." Jihoon took a deep breath. He had known this day might come. Every human ship captain had the protocol locked in a secure file. They had all hoped they would never need to use it. "Begin shutdown sequence," Jihoon said. "Cut all external communications. Seal the diplomatic logs. Activate the emergency beacon suppression." "Sir?" Nari looked confused. "Just do it. Then wake everyone up. We're leaving." Within an hour, every human on Nexus Station was moving. They packed their personal belongings. They closed their shops and offices. They transferred their accounts and paid every debt they owed. And they did it all in silence, with no panic, no rushing, no explanations. Ambassador Sora walked through the human quarter one last time. Everything was clean. Every apartment was left in perfect condition. Every business had a sign on the door, "Closed. Thank you for your patronage." On her desk, she left a single data pad. On it was a copy of every human discovery, every star chart, every medical breakthrough they had shared with the council. Free. No strings attached. The Horizon's Promise undocked at 0300 station time. The dockmaster barely noticed. Human ships came and went all the time. But that same night, across 200 star systems, every human ship powered down their communications at the exact same moment. Every human colony went silent. Every human research station stopped broadcasting. On the colony world of New Busan, Governor Hyun stood in the central square. 20,000 colonists stood with him. Above them, transport ships waited. "We have 6 hours," Hyun said. "Take only what matters. Leave the infrastructure running. Leave the farms intact. Leave everything that others might need." The colonists worked through the night. They took their children, their photo albums, their grandmother's recipes, and their father's tools. They left the houses with power running. They left the medical clinic fully stocked. They left instructions in simple language for maintaining everything. By dawn, the colony was empty. But anyone who came there would find a fully working town, just waiting for new people to move in. The same scene played out on 73 colony worlds, on mining stations and research outposts, on trading posts and agricultural settlements. Humans packed what was personal and left what was useful. Dr. Hyun, the lead researcher at humanity's Deep Space Observatory, was the last one to leave his facility. He walked through the empty labs, checking that every system was locked down properly. The quantum sensors were still running, still collecting data. The power systems were stable. The air recyclers were working perfectly. He stopped at his office and recorded a final message. Then he encrypted it with a lock that would open in exactly 49 years. He set it to broadcast only if certain conditions were met. "I hope you never need to see this," he said to the empty room. "But if you do, I hope we left you enough time." Then he left, sealing the door behind him. Across the galaxy, other species began to notice. At first it was just small things. A human trader didn't show up for a scheduled delivery. A human research team missed a conference call. A human diplomatic message went unanswered. Then the pattern became clear. Every human everywhere had simply vanished. The Varathi Empire sent scouts to the nearest human colony. They found empty buildings and working systems, but no people. Not even bodies. Not even a hint of where they had gone. The council called an emergency session. The human chairs sat empty. Where did they go? Someone asked. How did they all leave at once? Why didn't they say anything? Were they kidnapped? Destroyed? But there was no evidence of violence. No debris fields. No distress signals. No ransom demands. Nothing. It was Trader Nari, a Quellan merchant who had worked with humans for 30 years, who found the first clue. In her message inbox was a note from her human business partner Taeyang. It had been sent a week before the exodus, scheduled for delivery after they were gone. "Dear Nari," it read, "all debts are paid. All contracts are fulfilled. You were always fair to us and we will remember that. The infrastructure we built is now yours to use or share. The star charts and data are free for anyone who needs them. We leave in peace with no anger toward anyone. Live well. Perhaps we will meet again someday, that was all." No explanation. No coordinates. No hint of where humanity had gone. Nari sat in her office reading the message over and over. Taeyang had been her friend. They had done business together for 20 years. And he had said goodbye without saying where or why. She looked at the attached files. Complete star charts for 30 unexplored sectors. Medical research data worth billions. Manufacturing techniques humanity had developed. All free, all shared. What did you know? She whispered to the empty room. What were you running from? But there was no answer. Only silence where humanity used to be. 6 months had passed since humanity vanished. The Galactic Council had formed 12 different investigation teams. They had searched every abandoned human facility, every empty colony, every silent space station. What they found made no sense. Counselor Vrex stood in what used to be a human manufacturing plant on the colony world of Sejong. The facility was huge, covering several square kilometers. Every machine was clean and maintained. Every power system was running. Every computer terminal was wiped clean but left functional. They took the data but left the hardware, his assistant said. Every database is empty. Every research file is gone. But all the equipment works perfectly. Vrex walked through the empty factory floor. His forearms gestured in frustration. Where did they get the transport capacity? Moving millions of people, all their equipment, all their supplies. That would require thousands of ships. We have no records of them building such a fleet, Counselor. Then where were they hiding it? No one had an answer. The more they investigated, the stranger it became. Humans had not just evacuated people. They had taken everything of real value. Manufacturing equipment, raw material stockpiles, genetic seed banks, digital libraries, even the contents of museums and art galleries. But they had left things too. Medical clinics fully stocked with supplies, farms with automated systems still running, water purification plants, power generators, everything that other species might need to survive. It was like they had carefully sorted everything into 2 categories, things we need to take and things others need to survive. They had taken the first and left the second. Admiral Taeyang appeared and recovered security footage that investigators found in a storage drive. The footage was from 3 weeks before the exodus. He was walking through a supply depot checking inventory on a data pad. An alien dock worker stopped him. Admiral, this shipment is scheduled for the Varathi trade route. Should I load it? Taeyang looked at his pad. Yes, load it. Make sure everything is properly secured. We honor our commitments, that was all. Just a routine conversation. But it was dated. 2 weeks later, every human was gone. Yet the shipment had been delivered on time, exactly as promised. Trader Nari had stopped sleeping well. Her business was failing, not because of fraud or debt, but because half her supply chain had depended on human manufacturers. She had contracts with 17 different human companies. They had always delivered on time, always maintained quality, always dealt fairly. Now they were gone and she could not replace them. Other species who made similar products charged more and delivered less. Some refused to honor the same terms. Some tried to cheat her. She sat in her office looking at financial reports. 3 of her regular customers had already gone bankrupt because they could not get human-made medical equipment. The alternatives from other species did not work as well and cost twice as much. Her communication console beeped. Another customer canceling another order. She pulled up Taeyang's final message again. Read it for the 100th time. All debts are paid. All contracts are fulfilled, they had known. Somehow they had known they were leaving, and they had made sure no one was cheated. No one was left holding unpaid debts. Every agreement was completed before they vanished. The Varathi Empire decided to claim former human territories. It seemed logical. The colonies were empty but functional. The resources were there. Why let them go to waste? Admiral Vrex personally led the fleet to occupy the Sejong system. 3 planets, all terraformed by humans, all perfect for colonization. His ships entered orbit around the main colony world. Begin landing operations, he ordered. The first shuttles touched down in the capital city. Varathi soldiers explored the empty streets. Everything worked. The buildings had power. The water ran clean. The air recyclers hummed quietly, but the warehouses were empty. The factories had no raw materials. The computer systems had no industrial data. The spaceports had fuel tanks filled with exactly enough fuel to run the city systems, but none extra for ships. Sir, his logistics officer reported, there's nothing here to extract. They took all the refined materials, all the manufacturing supplies, all the trade goods. What they left is just enough to support a civilian population, but there's no economic value. Vrex felt his mandibles tighten in anger. The humans had left them empty shells. Beautiful, functional, worthless shells. On the research station Meridian, alien scientists were trying to access human scientific data. The computers were intact. The laboratory equipment worked perfectly, but every research file was gone. Every experiment log was wiped. Every discovery was deleted, except for one thing. In the public access terminal in the station's lobby, someone found a data drive. On it was a complete copy of all human scientific papers that had ever been published publicly. Star charts, xenobiology research, agricultural techniques, medical procedures. Everything humanity had ever shared with the galaxy was there, organized and indexed. But all their private research, all their unpublished discoveries, all their cutting-edge work was gone. Dr. Minji, a Quellan xenoanthropologist, had made studying humanity her life's work. She had spent 20 years learning their languages, their customs, their history. She had written 3 books about human culture. Now she was determined to understand their disappearance. She started collecting everything humans had left behind in public databases. Personal journals, social media posts, historical records, cultural documents. She read thousands of files looking for patterns, and she found something strange. In human culture, across all their different ethnic groups and time periods, there were certain repeating themes. Stories about Exodus, myths about leaving before disaster, legends of people who saw danger coming and escaped, Noah and his ark, the Hebrew Exodus from Egypt, the Polynesian voyages across empty ocean, the generation ships in their science fiction. Over and over, humanity told stories about leaving home to survive, but they also told stories about return, about coming back to help those left behind, about remembering the innocent even when the guilty deserved punishment. Minji sat in her research office, surrounded by human books. She picked up an old religious text, translated into Galactic Common. She read a passage that someone had marked. And the righteous shall return, not with vengeance, but with mercy. For judgment is not the ending of hope, but the beginning of restoration. She set the book down slowly. What if the Exodus was not about running away? What if it was about running toward something, or preparing for something? She pulled up astronomical data from the last 50 years, started searching for anything unusual that human researchers had flagged. There were hundreds of reports. Most were routine. Unusual star formations, strange radiation readings, normal space science, but one report stood out. A survey mission 15 years ago. The team leader was someone named Jinwoo. He had found quantum anomalies in deep space, irregular patterns that did not match any known phenomena. His report ended abruptly, requesting immediate follow-up investigation. If initial analysis is correct, this has implications for all Council species. Priority status recommended, but the Council had rejected the request. Too expensive. Too speculative. Junior species should focus on practical research, not wild theories. She searched for any follow-up. Found nothing in public databases. The research had been classified by human authorities. Whatever Jinwoo had found, humanity had kept it secret. Back on Nexus Station, the Council was arguing. It had been 6 months. They had found no answers. And now the economic problems were getting serious. 17 species had depended heavily on human trade, medicine, technology, food products, specialized equipment, all gone now, and the alternatives were expensive or inferior. Some blamed the humans for abandoning them. Others blamed the Council for driving them away. Others simply wanted to know what happened. Councillor Vreck stood before the assembly. This is proof that humans could not be trusted. They abandoned their responsibilities. They left us without warning. They are cowards who ran from their obligations. But Traitor Nari stood up. She was not a counselor, just a civilian observer. But she had been given permission to speak. They left us everything we needed to survive, she said quietly. They paid every debt. They finished every contract. They left their farms running and their hospitals stocked. They gave us their star charts and their research. If they were running from something, not from us. Vrex turned to face her. Then where are they? Why did they not explain? I do not know, Nari admitted. But I know this. Taiyang was my friend for 20 years. He was honest and fair. And in his last message, he said we might meet again someday. That sounds like someone who plans to return, not someone abandoning us forever. The chamber fell silent. Outside the windows, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, humanity was hiding. But from what? And would they really come back? 3 years had passed since the humans vanished. Dr. Minji had turned her entire life into one investigation. Her office was covered with human cultural documents, personal journals, and scientific reports. She barely slept, barely ate. Her colleagues thought she was obsessed, maybe she was. But she knew there was an answer. Humans did not do anything without reason. They were planners, careful, deliberate. They had prepared for this exodus for years, maybe decades, and they had left clues behind. She had collected over 10,000 personal journals and social media posts from the final decade before the exodus. Most were boring, everyday life. Complaints about work, pictures of family dinners, normal things, but scattered through them were strange moments. A colony surveyor mentioning classified assignment in deep space. A military officer writing about new protocols for emergency evacuation. A civilian engineer posting about building things that will last without us. Individually, they meant nothing. Together, they formed a pattern. Humanity had been preparing. Not just the government or military. Everyone. They all knew something was coming. Minji pulled up Jinwoo's report again. The survey mission from 15 years ago. The quantum anomalies. She had read it 100 times, but now she read it differently, looking for what he had not said. Quantum patterns inconsistent with natural phenomena. Directional propagation detected. Further investigation urgent. Directional propagation. That meant something was moving. Coming from somewhere. Heading somewhere. Jinwoo had found something approaching the galaxy, and the Council had ignored him. She searched through human scientific literature, found papers on quantum physics, dimensional mechanics, gravity waves. Human scientists had been researching these topics intensely in the years before the Exodus, but they had published less and less as time went on. Their research had gone private, classified. The Council had finally agreed to open the Human Deep Space Observatory. It had taken 3 years of legal arguments and jurisdiction debates. The facility sat in neutral space on the edge of the galaxy. It had been abandoned like everything else. Minji was part of the investigation team. She stood in the shuttle as they approached the station. It was massive, much bigger than she had expected. Arrays of sensors pointed outward into dark space. Power signatures showed everything was still running. Why would they leave it operational? Someone asked. Maybe they wanted us to find something, Minji said quietly. They docked and entered the station. The air was fresh. The gravity was normal. The lights came on automatically as they walked through the corridors. It was like the staff had left yesterday, not 3 years ago. Dr. Hyun's office was neat and organized. On his desk sat a data pad. The other investigators reached for it, but Minji stopped them. Wait, check for security protocols first. Good thing she did. The pad was encrypted with a time lock. It would only open on a specific date, still 46 years in the future. But there was a backup trigger. If certain quantum signatures were detected by the station's sensors, it would open early. What signatures? The team leader asked. Minji checked the parameters. Her blood went cold. The same patterns Jinwoo found 15 years ago. This will open if those quantum readings reach a certain threshold. They copied the data pad to their ship and continued exploring. The observatory's main computer core was locked, but the sensor logs were accessible. Minji spent hours going through them. The patterns were there. Weak at first, barely detectable, but growing stronger over 15 years. A wave of quantum disturbance moving through dark space heading toward the galaxy. The readings were complex, technical, beyond her understanding. But one thing was clear. The wave was getting closer. And it was huge, galaxy-sized huge. She pulled up the Council's own sensor data for comparison. Their systems had not detected anything. But when she looked closer, she understood why. Council species used a specific type of sensor technology, standard across all 47 civilizations. It could not detect the type of quantum patterns humans had been tracking. Humans had developed different sensor types. They were newer to space travel, so their technology had evolved differently. They could see things others could not. Back at the council chambers, Minji presented her findings. She showed the data, explained the patterns, described what Jinwoo had found. There is something coming, she said. A quantum wave moving through space. The humans detected it 15 years before they left. They tried to warn us, but we did not listen. Counselor Altus, the reptilian chairman, studied the data carefully. He was old, cautious, not prone to panic. What does this wave do? I do not know yet, Minji admitted. But the humans were afraid of it. Afraid enough to evacuate everyone. Afraid enough to abandon everything. Admiral Vrex scoffed. This is speculation. Old sensor data that could mean anything. The humans probably made it up as an excuse to leave. To make themselves seem important. Why would they leave the sensors running? Minji shot back.
Why encrypt a message that opens when the wave arrives?
They wanted us to find this. To understand what was coming. Perhaps it is a trap, Vrex said. False data to make us waste resources. Altus raised a clawed hand for silence. We will investigate carefully, deploy our own deep space sensors. See if we can detect these patterns. It took 8 months to build and deploy the new sensors. They used human designs recovered from abandoned facilities, modified for council species to operate. When the first data came back, the chamber went silent. The wave was real. The quantum disturbances were real, and they were much closer than Jinwoo's original data had shown. The wave had been accelerating. Worse, someone finally figured out what the wave did. A physicist from the Quellan species ran simulations. The quantum patterns matched a theoretical phenomenon called dimensional cascade. When the wave passed through matter containing certain quantum signatures, it would cause catastrophic failure. And what contained those signatures? Advanced technology, specifically technology using dimensional physics for faster-than-light travel, the same physics principle that every advanced council species used. Every ship, every station, every city, every piece of modern infrastructure, all of it used dimensional drive technology. All of it would fail when the wave arrived. Minji stood in the council chamber showing the projections. The humans discovered dimensional physics late. They had barely started using it when they found this wave. Most of their technology still used older methods. Fusion drives. Chemical propulsion. Primitive by our standards. And that saved them, Altus said slowly. Yes, their old technology was immune to the wave, so they evacuated, and they left behind everything we would need. Infrastructure, medical supplies, food production, all using technology that will survive. The chamber erupted in noise, species arguing, some refusing to believe, others demanding action, some blaming the humans, others praising them. Brex stood. This is lies. Human manipulation. They want us to panic. Then explain the time-locked message, Minji said. Why encrypt it to open when the wave arrives? Why leave it at all? Brex had no answer. Altus called for order. How long do we have? A technician checked the data. Based on current velocity and trajectory, Approximately 46 years. The same time frame as the encrypted message, someone noted. They knew exactly when it would arrive. Another voice said. They calculated it 15 years ago. Planned their exodus around it. Gave themselves time to prepare. Minji pulled up the archived council records. Found Jinwoo's original report. Found the human requests for emergency funding. For joint research. For council-wide preparation, all denied. All dismissed as alarmist. As junior species overreaction. The council had not just ignored the warnings. They had actively rejected human attempts to help, and humanity had made a choice. If the council would not listen, would not prepare, would not take the threat seriously, then humanity would save itself. They would take their people somewhere safe, somewhere the wave could not reach, but they had left everything else behind. Every piece of technology that did not use dimensional physics. Every supply that others might need. Every bit of knowledge that might help survivors rebuild. They tried to save us, Minji said quietly. When we would not listen, they saved themselves. But they left us a way to survive, instructions, equipment, supplies, everything we would need if we were willing to use it. Assuming this is all real, Vrex said stubbornly. Altus looked at him. Admiral, your fleet uses dimensional drives, correct? Of course. Standard equipment. And if those drives fail when the wave arrives, what happens? Vrex was silent. We have 46 years, Altus said. We must decide. Do we rebuild our civilization using old technology that will survive? Or do we hope this is all false and change nothing? The vote was split. Some species began emergency preparations. Others refused. Some called it the Great Extinction Hoax. Others called it the Return Prophecy, believing humans would come back. Minji went back to her office. Pulled up Taiyang's message one more time. Perhaps we will meet again someday. Not maybe. Perhaps. Like he knew it was possible but not certain. Like he hoped but did not promise. She looked at the calendar. 46 years. Would that be enough time? Could the galaxy rebuild in time to survive? And when the wave passed, would humanity really return? Or had they abandoned them forever? 48 years had passed since humanity vanished. The galaxy had spent nearly 5 decades arguing about what to do. Some species had listened. Others had not. Now time was almost up. Dr. Minji was old now. Her scales had faded to pale gray. Her movements were slow. But her mind was still sharp. She had spent half a century piecing together the truth about humanity's departure, and she had finally found the last piece. The council archives went back centuries. Most of it was boring records. Trade agreements. Diplomatic meetings, routine reports. But buried in the classified section, sealed and forgotten, was testimony from 63 years ago. Military advisor Donghyun. Human. He had stood before a council security committee and warned them about anomalous readings in dark space. He had asked for emergency funding, for a joint investigation. For preparedness protocols, the committee had dismissed him, called his concerns unfounded paranoia. Said humanity was too new to space to understand what they were seeing. The testimony was sealed to avoid unnecessary public panic. Minji read the transcript with tired eyes. Donghyun had tried. He had shown them the data, explained the danger, begged them to take it seriously, and they had laughed at him. Literally laughed. It was in the record. Humanity has been in space for barely 2 centuries, one counselor had said. We have explored the galaxy for thousands of years. Do not presume to tell us what is dangerous, Donghyun had replied quietly. Then we will prepare alone, and we will pray we are wrong. But they had not been wrong. The wave was almost here now, 2 years away according to the latest calculations, and the galaxy was not ready. Some species had listened to the warnings. The Quellans had spent 40 years rebuilding their infrastructure with old technology. Chemical rockets, fusion reactors, analog computers, things that did not use dimensional physics. They had learned from human designs left behind. Trader Nari was old too now, but she had built a new business. Selling and installing safe technology across multiple systems. She had become rich. But more importantly, she had saved thousands of lives. Other species had refused to change. The Varathi Empire was the most stubborn. Admiral Vrex, now promoted to Grand Admiral, had declared the wave a myth. Propaganda spread by humans to make themselves seem important. His empire had done nothing to prepare. "We have the strongest fleet in the galaxy," he proclaimed. No quantum wave will threaten the Varathi people. But there were cracks in his confidence. Some Varathi colonies had quietly begun building safe tech infrastructure. Some military officers had secretly trained on non-dimensional ships. They did not trust their leader's arrogance. The encrypted message from Dr. Hyun had finally unlocked. The time lock had released when the quantum readings reached the predicted threshold. Minji watched the hologram with tears in her eyes. Dr. Hyun looked tired in the recording. His face was lined with stress. Behind him, she could see the Deep Space Observatory, busy with activity. "If you are watching this, the wave is close," he said. "Within a year or two at most. I am sorry we could not convince you earlier. I'm sorry we had to leave." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "We detected the wave 16 years ago. We spent a year trying to understand it. Another year trying to warn the Council. When they refused to listen, we faced a choice. We could stay and try to force them to believe us, but we calculated the timeline. By the time they accepted the danger, there would not be enough time to rebuild. Too many would die. Or we could evacuate, save our own people, and leave behind everything we could to help survivors." His eyes were sad. "We chose to live. But we did not abandon you. Every colony we left has infrastructure you can use. Every database has the knowledge you need. Every supply depot has resources for rebuilding. We took only what was personal to us. We left everything practical for you." He reached for something off-screen, then held up a data drive. "This contains complete specifications for safe technology, ships that do not use dimensional drives, computers that do not need quantum processors, everything you need to survive the wave and rebuild after. The wave will pass in approximately 6 hours. Anything using dimensional physics will catastrophically fail. We calculated 70 to 90% infrastructure loss for species that did not prepare. But you can survive. Rebuild. Recover." He set the drive down. "We built redoubts in uncharted space, places the wave will not reach. We will wait there until it is safe to return. And we will return, not to conquer, not to gloat, but to help. Because that is what we choose to be." The hologram flickered. "To those who listened, who prepared, who trusted us despite everything, thank you. To those who did not, we are still coming to help you. Because judgment is not about punishment. It is about being present when it matters most." The recording ended. Minji sat in silence for a long time. Then she began making copies. Thousands of copies, sending them everywhere. Meanwhile, a young Quellan pilot named Yuna was exploring an abandoned human colony. She was part of the new generation, born after humanity left. She had grown up on stories about humans, how they had vanished, how they had left gifts behind. She found a hidden data cache in the colony's central computer. It was not locked, just overlooked. Inside were detailed plans for building a complete civilian fleet using safe technology, not military ships, rescue ships, medical vessels, transport barges. The files were labeled Emergency Relief Fleet for any species that needs it. Yuna stared at the plans. Humanity had not just saved themselves. They had prepared to come back and save others. They had designed ships specifically for rescue operations, and they had left the plans where anyone could find them. She downloaded everything and took it to the council, showed them what she had found. "They are coming back," she said. "They always planned to come back." But Grand Admiral Vrex was beyond reason now. His empire had done nothing to prepare. His fleet still used dimensional drives. His city still ran on quantum processors. If the wave was real, he faced complete catastrophe. So he insisted it was not real. "Human lies," he declared. "Mind games. They want us to waste resources on useless old technology, want us to weaken ourselves." "The wave will arrive in 2 years," Minji said. "Our sensors detect it. It is real. Your sensors are built with human designs. Contaminated data. Then build your own sensors, different designs, see for yourself." But Vrex refused. To test would mean admitting uncertainty. and he could not show weakness. The galaxy fractured. 16 species had fully prepared. They had rebuilt their critical infrastructure with safe technology, built backup systems, trained their people. They would survive. 12 species had partially prepared. Some of their systems were safe, others were not. They would suffer but endure. 19 species had done nothing. Like the Varathi, they had dismissed the warnings, refused to change. They would face the wave with no protection. Una took the relief fleet plans to a coalition of younger beings from multiple species. People who had not been part of the old arguments, who did not care about pride or politics, who just wanted to survive and help others survive. "We can build these ships," she said. "The humans left us everything we need, the knowledge, the materials, the infrastructure. We have 2 years. We can save lives." They worked day and night, built 23 rescue ships using human designs, stocked them with medical supplies, food, tools, everything survivors would need, trained crews from a dozen different species. Grand Admiral Vrex called them traitors, said they were collaborating with the human deception. But they ignored him. They had seen the data. They knew what was coming. Minji spent her final months organizing everything humanity had left behind, creating a comprehensive database, making sure anyone who wanted to prepare had access to the information they needed. She found personal logs from humans who had stayed behind until the last moment, engineers who had maintained the infrastructure, teachers who had recorded lessons, doctors who had left medical guides. One log was from someone named Tai Yang, the same Tai Yang who had been Trader Nari's partner. He had recorded a message a week before the exodus. "I hope whoever finds this understands," he said. "We wanted to save everyone, but we could only save those willing to be saved. The rest, we can only help them rebuild, and we will. When it is safe to return, we will come. Not with armies, not with demands, but with help, because that is who we are." The countdown continued. 2 years became 1 year. 1 year became months. The quantum readings grew stronger. The wave was visible now on long-range sensors. A ripple in space itself, moving through the galaxy like wind through grass. Species that had prepared hunkered down, switched to backup systems, moved populations to safe tech facilities. They were as ready as they could be. Species that had not prepared began to panic. Some tried to evacuate. Others begged for help from neighbors. Many simply waited, hoping the wave would somehow miss them. Grand Admiral Vrex sat in his command ship, surrounded by dimensional drive vessels. His fleet, his pride. He refused to believe any of it would fail, but deep in his mind, in a place he would not acknowledge, he was afraid. Because the wave was real. It was coming, and he had done nothing to save his people. The final message from humanity was simple. It appeared on every human-built facility in the galaxy, every colony they had left behind, every station they had abandoned. The wave arrives in 48 hours. To those who prepared, be strong. To those who did not, we are coming. Wait for us. Survive. We will find you. The wave arrived at 0300 Galactic Standard Time. There was no sound, no warning. One moment, the galaxy was normal. The next, everything changed. Grand Admiral Vrex was in his flagship when it happened. The dimensional drive shut down first, not gradually, instantly. Like someone had cut the power. Except the power was still running. The drive was simply dead. Then the quantum processors failed. Navigation computers went dark. Weapon systems locked up. Life support switched to emergency backup. All across his fleet, 2,000 warships died in seconds. Red emergency lights flickered on. Manual systems, the old kind that did not use advanced physics, still functioned. But everything modern, everything powerful, everything the Varathi Empire had built its might upon, was gone. "Damage report," Vrex said, his voice tight. "All dimensional systems offline, sir. Quantum computers non-responsive. Drives are dead. We are adrift." Across the galaxy, the same scene played out on different scales. The species that had not prepared lost everything that made them advanced. 70 to 90% of their infrastructure failed. Cities went dark, ships stopped moving, communication networks collapsed. Billions of people were suddenly living in the dark, with no heat, no food production, no water recycling. But the species that had prepared survived. Their backup systems kicked in: chemical lights, fusion reactors, analog computers, old technology that the wave could not touch. They had power. They had life support. They had hope. On the colony world of New Busan, abandoned by humans 50 years ago, the systems kept running. The humans had built everything with safe technology. The lights stayed on. The water flowed. The farms continued growing food. It was empty of people, but it was alive. Survivors from nearby Varathi colonies began arriving. Their own worlds had gone dark. They fled in whatever ship still worked, old shuttles with chemical rockets. They landed on New Busan and found paradise, a working city, food in the automated farms, medicine in the clinics, everything they needed, and instructions, in simple language, explaining how everything worked. How to maintain it, how to keep it running. The humans had known people would come, had prepared for it. Dr. Minji was on a Quellan Safe Tech station when the wave hit. She felt nothing. The station had been built entirely with old technology, but her sensors showed the wave passing through, a ripple in quantum space. And then it was gone. She checked the communication network, the safe tech network that 16 species had built together. Status reports. All colonies respond. One by one, the prepared colonies reported in. Some damage, some casualties from panic and accidents. But they had survived. Their populations were safe. Then she switched to the old radio frequencies, the emergency bands that did not need quantum relays. She heard chaos, distress calls from unprepared colonies, ships adrift, cities dying, people screaming for help. She closed her eyes. So many had not listened. So many were suffering now, and there was nothing she could do. The relief fleet that Yuna had built could only reach a few systems, could only save thousands when millions needed help. Then the sensors detected something new. Quantum signatures, massive ones, dozens of them, appearing at the edge of the galaxy and moving inward fast. Unknown vessels approaching, her sensor operator said. Design unknown, size enormous. Minji felt her heart start racing. She pulled up the signatures, analyzed them. They were using fusion drives. Old technology. Fast, but not faster than light. These ships had been traveling for 50 years to get here. It is them, she whispered. The humans are back. Fleet Admiral Sora stood on the bridge of her flagship, the New Dawn. Around her, the human expeditionary relief force spread across space. 600 ships, medical vessels, transport barges, manufacturing platforms, supply freighters. Everyone built in the last 50 years. Everyone designed for this moment. She was old now. She had been Ambassador Sora when they left. She had spent 50 years preparing for this return. Training crews, building ships, planning rescue operations, and now finally they were here. Begin broadcasts, she ordered. All frequencies, all languages, her communication officer nodded. The message went out across the galaxy. Simple, direct. This is the Human Expeditionary Relief Force. We have medical supplies, food, fabrication equipment, and transport capacity. We are here to help. Transmit your coordinates. We will come to you. On Grand Admiral Vrex's flagship, the radio crackled to life. A human voice, speaking in perfect Varathi dialect. Varathi fleet, this is the human vessel Mercy's Hand. We detect your ships are adrift. We have tugboats and engineers. Permission to approach and render assistance? Vrex stared at the radio. His pride screamed at him to refuse, to die rather than accept human help. But his people were dying. His ships were dead in space. His empire was collapsing. Why? He asked. We voted against you. We dismissed your warnings. We mocked you. Why would you help us? There was a pause. Then a different voice, older, calm. Because we are human, the voice said. And this is what we do. Captain Shungmin commanded the Mercy's Hand, a massive tug ship with enough power to move a battleship. He and his crew approached the Varathi flagship carefully. Extended docking clamps, connected power lines. The Varathi crew watched in silence as human engineers came aboard, brought portable generators, food, water, medical supplies. The humans worked efficiently, speaking to each other in their own language, setting up life support systems. One Varathi soldier approached Seung-min. "You are feeding us, giving us power. After everything we did," Seung-min looked at him. "Our people left 50 years ago. You have a family?" "Yes, a mate. 3 younglings. Then I am helping them, not you, not your admiral, them." He went back to work. Across the galaxy, the human fleet spread out. They prioritized the worst disasters. Colonies where life support had failed. Ships full of children. Medical facilities with patients dying. They did not ask about politics. Did not care about who had voted against humanity 50 years ago. They just helped. Trader Nari was on her station when a human transport ship arrived. The airlock opened and out stepped a human, middle-aged, female, wearing a simple work uniform. "I am looking for Trader Nari," the human said. "I have a message from Admiral Taeyang." Nari felt her breath catch. "Taeyang is alive." "Yes, he commands a relief group in the outer sectors. He asked me to tell you he is sorry he could not say goodbye properly, and that he is glad you survived." Tears fell down Nari's face. "He remembered me. He remembered everyone who was fair to us. Your station is on the priority list for supply deliveries." The human handed her a datapad. "This is from him." Personal message. Nari read it later alone. Taeyang's words were simple. "You were always honest, always fair. You trusted us when others did not. And we do not forget our friends. I hope to visit your station someday soon and do business again, this time as equals." Young pilot Yuna was helping coordinate rescue operations when Fleet Admiral Sora requested a meeting. Yuna was nervous. This was a human legend. The woman who had led the exodus. Sora was old but sharp. She looked at the relief ships Yuna's coalition had built, ships designed from human plans, built by young beings from a dozen species. "You built these?" Sora asked. "Yes, Admiral. We used your designs. From the data caches you left behind." Sora smiled. It was warm, genuine. "You did well. These ships have saved thousands of lives. You saw the danger and acted. That takes courage. I only followed what humans showed us." "No," Sora said firmly. "You chose to act. That is not following. That is leading. We left the knowledge. But you had to choose to use it. Many did not. You did." She handed Yuna a patch. "Human military insignia. You and your crews are hereby granted honorary status in the Human Relief Force. You have earned it." Dr. Minji finally met Sora in person. 2 old women, facing each other across 50 years of history. "I searched for you," Minji said. "Spent my life trying to understand why you left. Did you find your answer?" "Yes, you tried to warn us. We did not listen. So you saved yourselves and left us the tools to save ourselves." Sora nodded slowly. "We could not force you to believe. Could not make you prepare. All we could do was give you the choice, and then come back to help regardless of what you chose. Many died because they did not listen. I know, and that is a weight we carry. But we saved billions. Those who prepared survived. Those who did not we are helping now. It is not perfect. But it is what we could do." Minji looked out the window, saw human ships everywhere, moving refugees, delivering supplies, repairing systems. "You came back. You really came back. We said we would. Humans keep their promises." On his dying flagship, Grand Admiral Vrex watched human ships rescue his people, saw his soldiers eating human food, his injured being treated by human doctors, his children being evacuated to safety on human transports. He had lost everything, his pride, his empire, his certainty. All of it was gone. A human captain came to see him. Captain Ji-hoon, commander of the Horizon's Promise, the same ship that had left Nexus Station 50 years ago. "We are evacuating your crew," Ji-hoon said. "You can come with us or stay here. Your choice." "Why are you doing this?" Vrex asked. "I voted to restrict your military. I called you cowards. I claimed your warning was lies. Why save me?" Ji-hoon looked at him. "Because judgment is not about revenge. It is about being better than those who wronged us. You made mistakes. You were arrogant. But your people deserve to live. And we are not going to let them die just to prove a point." Vrex felt something break inside him. Shame. Real, deep shame. What happens now? Now you rebuild. We will help. Provide supplies, technology, knowledge, but you have to do the work. Make better choices. Listen to warnings. Treat younger species with respect. Ji-hoon paused. And maybe apologize to those you dismissed. And if we do not change, then next time we might not come back. We save you once, maybe twice, but eventually you have to save yourselves. Frex nodded slowly. He had no pride left to resist with. I will try. Over the next decade, humanity helped rebuild the galaxy. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as partners. They shared their technology freely, taught others how to build safe systems, helped restore colonies and cities. The species that had prepared welcomed them as heroes. The species that had not prepared learned hard lessons. Some changed, some did not. But humanity helped them all anyway, and slowly the galaxy changed. Old attitudes about junior species and elder races began to fade. Respect was earned by actions, not age. Leadership came from reliability, not force. In the new council chambers, built using safe technology, Ambassador Sora addressed the assembly. She was ancient now, but her voice was still strong. 50 years ago, we left because we had to. We could not save you by warning. Words were not enough, so we saved ourselves and left you the tools. Some of you used them, some did not. We came back for both, because that is who we choose to be. She looked across the different species, some grateful, some ashamed, all listening. Judgment is not the ending of hope. It is the beginning of responsibility. We were judged by the wave. Some passed, some failed, but all of us survived. Now we must judge ourselves. Will we learn? Will we listen? Will we do better? The chamber was silent. We are here, Sora said simply. Humanity has returned. Not to rule, not to dominate, but to stand with you, to build something better together, if you will have us. The vote was unanimous. 47 species, all in agreement for the first time in galactic history. Humanity was home, and the galaxy would never be the same.